Hello and welcome to Your Health Decoded. What's your gut telling you? Yes? Today, this week, we're discussing gut health. And I have with me two eminent experts Misha Grewal, a nutrition and wellness expert. She was also India's former national squash champion. I also have with me Dr. Bhushan Prabhakar Bhole. He's a gastrointestinal and liver transplant surgeon. Thank you both so much for joining us today. Dr. Bhole, if I can start with you, can you explain? A lot of people talk about this second brain in our gut and how it sends signal to the brain in our head. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? Why that gut brain is so important?
So, see, the brain consists of nervous system, and this brain nervous system controls everything in our body. And there is another nervous system which is called as enteric nervous system, and it composed of more than 100 million nerve cells in entire digestive tract. Now, when we talk about second brain in our gut, it practically means that the this nervous system controls everything like food processing, movements of our intestine, absorption, digestion, and processing of all the nutrients, proteins in our body. And this is called as second brain, and we basically it is connected to our brain, so that is the reason it is called like that.
Right. So this means that gut health can influence mood and anxiety or depression, all of that?
Yes, gut health can influence mood, anxiety. At the same time, anxiety and mood also can cause alteration in your gut health, vice versa, both.
Right. Misha, if I can come to you, I was going through your website and it was so interesting because you spoke so much about metabolic balance. So, if you could tell our viewers what is metabolic balance and how it differs from other nutritional approaches.
So metabolic balance is basically balancing your metabolism from the root cause by looking at your individual blood markers and seeing what those blood markers say from a metabolic and nutritional perspective. And then using those blood markers to generate a list of foods that are very specific to your blood chemistry at that point in time. And the thought behind that is that when you sort of address food and nutrition and lifestyle from a biochemical perspective, and of course, biochemistry is individual to each person, right? No two people share the same biochemistry. And therefore, ideally, your food list, your lifestyle, your approaches should all be bio individual to your particular system, your particular concerns, and cleaning up metabolic health. So, that is how metabolic health is different from other systems. It looks at resetting metabolism by taking your biochemical body and bioterrain into account today.
Right. So, that's very interesting. But so, it means that I, of course, am different from you. Dr. Bole is different from both of us. But on a larger scale, if I was to look at, let's say, common digestive issues, like speak to us about when people come to you in your practice, what are the major issues that you see people having? What are the most common ones?
So, acidity and reflux is a big one. Constipation, bloating, nausea sometimes, bloating in the second half of the day. But what's really interesting is a lot of people who come maybe not for gut issues but other issues very often have asymptomatic gut issues that they don't know about. And I guess my whole approach to wellness and health is very bio-individual. So it's looking at the person in front of me and saying, who is this person? What is their blood work saying? Do I need to look deeper at their gut health? What is going on with them? So upstream, whatever they come to me with, say, they have a diabetic issue or they come to me with perhaps a gut issue, or they come to me with migraines or hormonal imbalances, PCOS, whatever they come to me with, my approach is to say, why did this happen to this person? Because very often, what happens is you treat symptoms. You say, okay,
Mm,
you have high blood sugar, here's a medicine to bring down your blood sugar, which is absolutely essential to do, right?
mm.
But my approach is, I'm not a doctor, right? So my approach is nutrition, supplements, and lifestyle. So my approach is to say, why did this person end up in this place? And it goes with blood work, it goes with functional testing, looking at the gut microbiome, looking at inflammation in the gut, looking at detoxification, looking at hormonal balances, looking at insulin resistance. There's many things that sort of factor in. And therefore, what ends up happening is a roadmap that is personalized and unique to that person. Because again, no two people have the same set of life circumstances, right? And therefore, no two people have the same set of, even if they have the same diseases or the same outcomes upstream, the why is always different.
Right. But if someone was to come to you, let's say a family comes to you and says, we want to change our lifestyle, give us sort of, some foods or some tips on where we can all do better. Now, they're obviously different individuals, but they, as a family, people can't sort of sometimes make different foods for everyone. So, what is that common thing that you would advise to people in general?
Okay, so if we're looking at food and we're talking about cleaning up health in general, my number one tip to everybody is readdress your plate proportion. We tend to eat a very large amount of carbohydrate as a race, as a nation, I mean, from generations in the past, right? Which I feel might have worked many years ago because our lifestyles were different. We ate what was local, we ate what was seasonal. That's hugely important to sort of go back to now if you can. But we were much more active. You woke up in the morning, you had agricultural fields to tend to, you ate what was growing in the field. So if it was a gehu season and you harvested the gehu, then that's when you ate the gehu. You didn't eat it year around. If it was rice, again, it was usually older grains, older strains of rice. There wasn't so much sort of dehusking and polishing and refining of the rice. Same goes with the dals. Same goes with the vegetables. I mean, we didn't have kiwi fruit 50 years ago. So much has changed in how we approach life and how we live life and how life's more sedentary, so much more stress. All of that has changed. So therefore, my biggest tip for people today is readdress your plate. First of all, look, are you eating seasonal? Are you eating in proportion to your lifestyle today? And what that means is half your plate vegetables, because vegetables is, and I mean cooked vegetables, raw vegetables, seasonal vegetables, cooked your way with the oils that you use indigenously and not switching to oils that are not indigenous to India. But half your plate should be vegetables, one larger portion, so slightly more than the quarter left should be your protein, and slightly less than the quarter left should be your carbs. So if there was one generic rule that I would ask everybody to sort of follow, that would be it. Followed by, are you using the right oils? Because that is a huge game changer. And again, kachi dhani mustard oil, cold pressed sesame oil, coconut oil in the south that was extra virgin, ghee, such a beautiful sort of ingredient we have. All of that's being replaced with the more refined oils. And the minute an oil is refined, it changes its profile and it's inflammatory to the body. So I would say change your oils to the old oils, go back to plate proportions and eat seasonal, eat locally. It's what's grown in your region, as you have been for millions of years. This change is
Yeah.
just the last 20 years or so.
I think these are such excellent tips, Misha. I think everybody would benefit. But Dr. Bhole, if I can ask you, what are the first warning signs a patient will have if their gut microbiome is out of balance?
See, when the gut microbiome is out of balance, patient may experience, or people, we might not call them as a patient, it can happen in routine general population as well, like bloating, lot of bloating, gas formation, we call it as a flatulence, abdominal cramping, pain in abdomen, and at the same time, alteration in the bowel habits, sometime passing harsh stools, sometimes passing loose stools, some these kind of symptoms, the patient can experience, and this can be considered as a warning signs. And this may happen because of faulty eating habits, lot of outside food consumption, at roadside stalls and restaurants, and at the same time, frequent use of antibiotics can also, altered our, GI flora, digestive tract flora, which all can cause alteration in this gut microbiome.
That's a very, very interesting point you make about overuse of antibiotics. There is so much talk now about AMR, which is antimicrobial resistance. So, how
Yes.
severe can it get, and what would you like to say to our viewers about the use of antibiotics, which could lead to not just the antibiotic being completely ineffective, but you're now saying it could actually lead to other illnesses like your gut getting affected?
See, what has happened over the years that Indian population or patient is little impatient. Okay, I mean to say they want instant relief. Okay, now if you tell them, let's wait for 2 3 days, we can, we will try to have your symptom controls without antibiotics. They might not be happy. Okay, they want instant relief. So that is the reason, prescription of antibiotics is, what I will say is, has increased. And there are a lot of practitioners, like, general practitioners, like, from different, faculties, like, you can take Unani or Ayurveda, any homeopathy. Everyone is prescribing antibiotics. Okay, and at the same time allopathic doctors are also prescribing when it is needed. It is needed, okay, we agree, but at the same time, even for the minor issues also antibiotics are prescribed, and this has caused a lot of havoc. There is a increasing trend in what you ask, rightly, as AMR, that is antimicrobial resistance. And you ask us, we will tell you, we are sitting here in tertiary centers. We know how severe is this problem. We see so often, that your patients are having harboring, bacteria which are almost resistant to all antibiotics available, and except one or two, and then it really becomes tough to treat this group of patients. So we cannot blame to single person, like, neither we can blame to doctors, neither we can put it on patients. But yes, the overall attitude towards taking antibiotics should be, reconsidered, or prescribing antibiotics should be reconsidered.
Absolutely, absolutely. Misha, tell me, when a patient comes to you and you put them on a wellness track, I'm presuming that's for life then. Like, how long does it take for a typical patient to see improvement?
So that's a difficult question because, as I always tell my clients, I said, my job is to figure out what's going on with you and why, and then give you a nutrition protocol, perhaps a supplement protocol to do. Your job is to do the work. But
Mm.
what's in neither of our hands is how fast your body reacts and how fast your body responds. And all we can do is do the work, but how fast your body responds is up to your body and how safe your body feels with the changes. Number one. Number two, it's all about lifestyle changes, right? Because yes, of course, if you have a serious gut infection, then you need the either the antibiotics for it, or you need to go a herbal route. You need to fix your leaky gut. You need to fix, whatever it is that's going on requires a stricter protocol and stricter adherence. And yes, that might be something that's done in the short term for 2 months or for 3 months or something like that. You're avoiding certain foods, for example. But in the bigger picture, it's about making changes that are slower and steadier, that are therefore sustainable. Because if you go back after a 2 month protocol with me or a 6 month protocol with me, if you go back and sort of live that lifestyle and that food and that sort of everything again, stress levels, all of that, your sleep habits, then at some point you're going to end back in the same place, right? So the point is you don't need to do 100% unless you're doing a very strict protocol and it's needed for a certain duration of time. The idea is more importantly, what shifts can you make in that right direction in a way that is sustainable for you to do long term. Does that mean you can never eat pizza again? Absolutely not. Of course you can, but it all needs to be in balance and in proportion, and once you've sort of healed your system, right? So I'm all for moderation.
Right. But tell me, which are the foods, for instance, if you were to list your top 3 or 4 foods that are absolutely great for gut health, which are game changers, and 3 or 4 which are slightly overhyped, what foods would they be?
So, well, I would say vegetables is top on the list, okay, because vegetables
Any and all
have,
vegetables.
well, pretty much. Even the root vegetables, which are your potatoes and your sweet potatoes and the arbis and things like that, again in moderation, are great for you. There are ways to cook them. For example, with potatoes and sweet potatoes, the ideal way to cook them is cook them the day before and reheat and eat them the next day, because then they go from being high starch to becoming more resistant fiber and feeding your gut microbiome. But having
Does
said
the
that, all
sorry,
veg
I've no, does the same is it the same for rice as well? Cook it a day before
it
and
is
then eat it?
ideally, yes.
Right.
It it is. So
Okay.
ideally, that is the way to do it. Why do I say vegetable? Because vegetables is single-handedly the most important food for your gut microbiome, from my perspective. Which is, it gives you all the polyphenols, vegetables and some fruit. It gives you all the polyphenols. The polyphenols are beneficial compounds that feed good bacteria, right? Secondly, vegetables have fiber, and they also feed the good bacteria. And it's these good bacteria that actually give out metabolites that heal your gut. So for me, vegetables is on the top of the list. Um, Fermented foods is very big on the list. Most people can tolerate eating fermented foods unless they have severe dysbiosis situations, in which case we have to relook at that. But again, traditional recipes, all those achars that used to be made, summer mein ye banao, mango hai, eat that mango pickle in the winter once it's fermented. Or there's the kanji, that we have in North India, the carrot kanji. They're all old traditional fermented recipes that are all good for your gut health and good for overall health. Um, there's this whole buzz today about protein and how the whole world is on this big protein sort of junket saying, eat more protein, it's good for you, eat more protein, you need it. Of course, it's good for you. Protein is, very important. It repairs every cell in your body. But at the end of the day, my question to the person sitting in front of me is, can you digest the protein? Are you absorbing the protein? Are you breaking it down, or is it causing inflammation in your system? If it's causing inflammation, then all those protein powders and extra chicken and extra, tofu you're eating is not helping you, it's harming you, right? So all the food groups are important. Carbohydrate, which is grains, starches, they're all very important to feed your gut microbiome. But again, in proportion. So I'd go with plant-based food, which is your vegetables. Dals again are very, very good for you for your gut microbiome. But again, if you can digest them, fermented foods are great for you, and healthy oils. These are my top picks. Protein and carb, of course, is important. And if I sort of look at a client and I want to think, okay, I don't know what's going on with their gut, I don't know what's going on with their body, but if I wanted to remove the top 3 foods because this person is inflamed at whatever level, right? Even for weight loss, uh, unfortunately, gluten's pretty much on the list for most people, right? Sugar of all sorts is on the list. Fruit is fine, but whether you eat a date or whether you eat refined sugar, if you have a metabolic issue, sugar is not good for you. Okay. And the third food would be, depending on your inflammation levels, it would be either a dairy or a soy or nightshades, which are your tomatoes, potatoes, aubergines, peppers. It That becomes a little bit more bio-individual. But if I wanted to clean up somebody's diet overall, I'd be like, okay, let's get off gluten, let's get off sugar, and let's try and minimize the milk and the cheese and maybe have homemade dahi for a month, and let's see how you do. And just by doing that much, see a lot of changes which tells me that their system needs further work and is inflamed.
Wow. And these are such, easy tips that anybody can follow. I mean, most Indian households will have homemade dahi. So, if I can ask both of you, uh, Misha, you can go first, both you and Dr. Bhole. If there's one myth about gut health that you would like to break today, that you would like to smash today, what would it be?
Wow, that's a difficult one. Antibiotics fix everything.
Great, great. Dr. Bhole, what about you?
uh, it is very difficult to put in one sentence to myth, but what I would like to tell is that a lot of Indian population have a habit of drinking milk before going to bed, and having tea and coffee, bed tea sort of. I would advise them to avoid these habits.
Right. Thank you so much. You have given such incredible nuggets of information that I think so many people are going to benefit from what both of you have told us today. Thank you so much, both of you, Misha and Dr. Bhole. All that you have said is going to benefit so many people. It was such incredible information. But that's all the time we have today. See you again next week on Your Health Decoded.